Welcome to another Incubate show. My name is Basil. A lot of our customers keep asking the same question. What is the right provincial nominee program for business immigration that they should be applying for? Where should they put their money? How should they invest? Which province is better? What's the better return on investment? What's the easiest way to obtain permanent residency? What we're going to do in this show is we're going to do things a bit different. We're not going to talk theory. We're actually going to put things into practice. We're going to have a few examples of certain programs that you could qualify for based on your selection criteria when it comes to your own personal objectives versus the objectives of the program. Before we dig deeper into it, what we're going to do is we're going to check your own personal circumstances. So what you need to do is answer these questions in your mind as you watch the show. First, we're going to take the main factors that could affect any of your provincial nominee application interest in business immigration. The single most important factor is your previous experience as a business owner or an entrepreneur. So, first question you need to ask yourself is, do I have any business ownership experience? If your answer is yes, you would be able to qualify for certain provincial nominee programs for business immigration. If your answer is no, that would dismiss you. Also, the percentage of your ownership. Do I own 10%, 20%, 30%, 100% of this business that I would like to qualify under? If you don't have any business ownership experience, do you have any senior management experience? And senior management experience, in definition, is any position that you previously held that allowed you to get involved in the decision-making of a business when it comes to the expenditures of the business or the revenue stream of the business. As an example, director of sales, or obviously a C-level position like a CEO or whatnot. That could be qualified as a senior management experience. IT manager, on the other hand, or an operations manager might not be. It all depends on what your involvement was in the business. So far, business ownership experience and senior management experience. Next level up, which is the third most important factor to consider when you're trying to make a selection, is your language proficiency or your knowledge in the implementation of the English language from a business perspective. So, how proficient are you in English? Are you at a basic level, intermediate, or advanced? If you don't speak English at all, that could potentially sway you to only a small group of programs that do not require language proficiency. Versus, if you do speak English, even at a basic level, and you're willing to take the IELTS test, then you will be able to qualify for certain programs. I understand that a lot of business immigrants, they think, I don't want to take the IELTS test. It's been a long time since I actually sat for a test. I'd rather not. You know what? I understand. But what you need to understand is if you do take the test, that opens up many gates for you, and it allows you to then have options versus being forced to invest only in one program that might not be the best fit for you because you refuse to take the IELTS test or you don't want to take it. So, IELTS test and language proficiency is the third question you need to ask yourself. Next level up, your ability to obtain a temporary resident visa or a visitor visa to be able to come to Canada and visit the province where you might be doing your investment. That's called an exploration visit or an exploratory visit. So if you're from a country that requires to have a visa, you need to obtain it in order for you to come and complete this visit. If you're not from a country that requires a visa, so you're visa exempt, then you'll be able to come. So your ability to come and visit the province before you do the investment is sometimes mandatory, and sometimes it allows you to have a lot of points towards your application. Next level up, your spouse. If you are married or if you have a common law partner, does your spouse speak a basic to intermediate level of English? Because then you could potentially get more points under the adaptability factors because Canada cares about integration of families. Next level up, your education. Do you have a high school degree? Do you have a post-graduation degree, a 1-year diploma, 2-year diploma? Do you have a bachelor degree? Do you have a master's degree? Your education level also will get you in different places. And of course, then you need to think about your net worth. How much money do I have? When I say how much money do you have, not as in how much money you have in your bank account or in cash. It means all your assets minus all your liabilities. You take that and then you come out with a certain number. So you have gold, you have assets, you have houses, you have whatever it is. You take all that, and you have inheritance, whatever. And then you minus all the liabilities and the loans you have. That's what your net worth is. Then you think about how much you want to invest. 150, 250,000, 400,000, half a million, $1 million Canadian dollars. It also depends on what your personal interest is in terms of the investment. Every province has different requirements when it comes to minimum investment, and some provinces even give you more points if you increase the amount of investment that you're going to put in. So let that sink in. Now you thought about your ownership experience, senior management experience, language, education, family, ability to visit, and now you're just thinking about all these things. Like, okay, great. Well, how do I apply that in practice? Is this enough for me to be able to go into Manitoba, to go into Saskatchewan, to go into British Columbia? So now what we're going to do is we're going to take these factors and apply them to 3 of the most common programs where people apply. So let's see. We'll start with Manitoba. So in Manitoba, I need you to understand one thing. There is something called eligibility. Eligibility means, yes, there's 100 points. You need to score 60 out of 100 to be eligible. That means absolutely nothing. Just because you're eligible, it doesn't mean you're going to be able to proceed with the application. It doesn't mean you're going to actually go into the whole entire process. I have seen clients that got into the program thinking that, yes, I'm eligible, I'm going to be able to proceed. The next thing you know, they put in their application 6 months, a year into it. Application has been then canceled, or it's been their profile or their expression of interest becomes stale, and then they're out of the pool. So what we need to focus on when we implement these factors in this program is the following. How qualified are you for Manitoba? We're not going to talk about the 60, we're going to talk about 80, 82, or even 85. Because since 2015 till today, nobody has ever been selected under 80 to 82 points. So what's the point of you entering the system if you only have 75 points? You're not going anywhere. So let's say investor X has 43 years old. So you are 43 years old and you have 3 years of senior management experience within the past 5 years. So you don't have any ownership experience. You never owned a business. You only had a senior managerial role in a company that you're an employee in. In addition to that, you also have 10 years or more of business experience. Now, business experience, it doesn't have to be at a senior management level or an ownership level. You just have business experience in addition to your senior management. So part of your career progression. Then, let's say you have $1 million Canadian dollars in net worth and above, and you have basic level of English. It's also called CLB level 4, Canadian Language Benchmark level 4, which is equivalent to IELTS between 4 and 5, which is basic English. You're able to come to Manitoba for 5 working days, which is 7 calendar days. So this is your exploration visit that you're going to be doing. And your spouse is able to speak basic to intermediate level of English at level CLB 5, or Canadian Language Benchmark level 5. So you and your spouse speak English. You're going to come to Manitoba to visit. You have $1 million in net worth. You're around 43 years old. You have 3 years of senior management experience, 10 years of business experience, and you have no education. You just have a high school degree, nothing after that. Your total score is going to be 87 points. 87 points is an excellent score that will not guarantee you to get a LAA or a letter of advice to apply, but it will get you in the above average or above median score to be able to proceed with the application and go through it. So this is an example of somebody who is considered as a very good candidate in Manitoba. Let's take British Columbia. So same factors, we're going to apply them for British Columbia and see what is a potential good candidate when it comes to British Columbia. Okay, so let's say you have now 5 years of business ownership experience. So you own 100% of a business. In addition to that, you have 2 years or 3 years of senior management experience on top of owning a business. You have in your pocket, in cash or in the bank, 200,000 Canadian dollars of liquid assets. Your net worth, all that you own minus your debt liabilities, is, let's say, 600,000 Canadian dollars. You're willing to make an investment of 400,000 Canadian dollars in British Columbia, and you're going to make an economic impact, which we'll be able to assist you with when it comes to the business plan we submit, so put that aside, and you have a bachelor degree. Your age is 53, and you don't speak in English. Your spouse speaks no English. You don't want to come to British Columbia to visit. But you have something called direct management experience, meaning the experience that you have back home when it comes to owning a business, you're going to apply the same experience into a similar business model or into a same business stream or industry here in Canada and British Columbia. So you're not going to come in from a certain industry and switch to something completely different. You're going to come in and apply your direct experience into a similar business here. If you take all that, you're potentially going to score 132 points. Now, BC PNP, for an example, they say there is no minimum selection points. But the average or the median of what the selection points has been is around 125, 129, 135 and above. So sitting at 132 points, you will be again above the median a little bit more, and that will put you in having a big chance of getting selected and receiving an invitation to apply to complete your process. So British Columbia, 53 years old, $600,000 of Canadian dollars in net worth, making an investment of 400,000, cash on hand 200,000, having business ownership experience of a business you've owned for 100% of its shares for 5 years, in addition to some senior management experience, no language proficiency required for you and your spouse, and you don't visit BC, that could be potentially a good fit for the program. Another example for the business immigration streams is Saskatchewan. So let's see how we can apply these factors into Saskatchewan. So let's say you are 53 years old. You have basic language proficiency, so CLB level 4. You have 550,000 Canadian dollars in net worth, or a little bit more. You have entrepreneur or business ownership experience for 4 years in the past 7 years. Your business that you owned was able to generate at any point in the past 5 to 10 years 50,000 to 100,000 Canadian dollars annually. So if you own a business sometime in the past 10 years and that business generated at any point $50,000 to $100,000 in 1 year, then that would qualify you for certain points. The business you want to implement in Saskatchewan is, let's say, going to be in the export business or in the manufacturing business or any of the key industries that Saskatchewan as a province is interested in. And you're willing to make an investment of $350,000. So with this kind of profile, you're looking at achieving 90 points. Average, the median that you should be concerned about is around 85. So regardless of what the minimum selection criteria is or what the maximum is, what you want to be is around 85 and above. So with this kind of profile, being 53, having 550,000 of Canadian dollars of net worth, willing to invest 350,000, focusing on a manufacturing industry or the export industry, and also speaking basic English, that will put you in a place where you can get around 90 points. So just from these three examples, that you see that two out of the three programs, English proficiency was a must. That gave you the eligibility to be able to proceed with the program. One of them did not force you to speak English, but if you wanted more points, English proficiency is a must. So, what are we learning from all these things right now? What are we learning now that we're just thinking about all these selection criteria, all these factors, and you're going to apply these to yourself? Well, you just need to have a reality check. How's my English? Am I willing to take the IELTS test? How much money do I have? How much money do I want to invest? Do I have any business ownership experience? No, I don't. Okay, great. Do I have any senior management experience? Does my spouse speak basic to advanced English? Or, sorry, basic to intermediate English? Am I able to come to Canada to conduct a business exploratory visit prior to even applying? All these things, when you think about it, it will give you different options. It will limit your options, but it will also open up a few gates. But once again, business ownership experience, English proficiency, that's a make it or break it when it comes to business immigration streams. If you want to open up the gates and be able to have options, take the IELTS test, and have business ownership experience. No business ownership experience, compensate that with education and also as in post-secondary education and certain other factors when it comes to the programs that you're coming in. At this point, what I would be recommending for you is to get yourself assessed. We need to be able to understand not your eligibility for these programs, how eligible you are. How many points can you get in Manitoba? How many points can you get in Saskatchewan? How many points can you get in Prince Edward Island? How many points can you get in Ontario, whatever? And based on that, we will see what the median and the average is, and we compare your own personal circumstances with certain assumptions against the median. And we tell you, that's the best program for you. This is not a good option for you. For you to be eligible here, you need to improve these certain criteria. If you change these certain conditions, that way you do. Maybe you will come back and tell you, for an example, in Manitoba, if you're not able to speak a basic level of English for you and your spouse, if you send one of your children to Manitoba to be enrolled in a school in Manitoba, you will be receiving points under the adaptability factor. So take that into consideration, right? So feel free to use the information on the screen to contact us. Let's go ahead and work on your assessment. Let's see what your options are. Do not rush your decision when it comes to business immigration, because it is a commitment you have to make not only from a financial perspective, but also from a time perspective. The average life cycle of your investment is going to be around 2 years. Where do you want to spend these 2 years? And are you really going to make any money out of your investment? And are you going to be receiving your permanent residency status after all this? Hope to hear from you soon, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.